Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show this Sunday the 25th of July, 2021. Thank you for tuning in. Glad to have you guys here. Now, I'm going to tell you guys something. I perceive this as one of the greatest opportunities in the Bitcoin space that's ever existed before. Is coming up in the next, probably within the next 9 months. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to explain it to you in detail so that you understand why it's going to be an opportunity. And I'm also going to put in there the potential of what could stop this from happening. I'm going to tell you everything about it. So let's get cracking on it. Let's find out what this opportunity is and how you can take advantage of it, because it's going to be right up there. It's going to be right up there with, remember back when you could buy Bitcoin for 5 cents and they went to like $30? It's going to be right up there with that. It's going to be right up there where you can make a lot. Okay, I'll tell you the reason what's going to cause it is. The central banks on Earth during the COVID crisis have created tremendously large, giant bubble of money. There's no other way of putting it, that they've created. And, there's an old saying, what goes up has to come down. Well, what they've done is this is expanded first, this bubble of money, expanded through the institutional part of the financial system, the Wall Street part of the financial system. It made its way down to the Main Street, from Wall Street to Main Street, and it's affected the consumer price index, or the amount of inflation. They were shooting for a target of around 2%. Inflation target is what the Fed had, or maybe a little bit over. It shot right up to over 5%. Their inflation target. Now they're talking about how they need to cool inflation down and everything else. Now, an awful lot of speculative, from this bubble of money, an awful lot of speculative investment has went through, and it drove at the peak, or the apex of this, it drove the Bitcoin price up to $64,000. Well, I'm going to tell you guys what. Another money bubble's coming. But before it gets here, what's going to happen is the money bubble that we're in is going to deflate. And that's what's going to cause the next money bubble to come. It's the deflation of the present money bubble. And just like any bubbles, when they break fast. Now, we saw the Bitcoin price already drop down into the upper 20s, like 29,000 and change, during this present popping of this bubble. But the bubble's going to continue to pop, and it's going to pop much quicker at a certain point in time when the money starts to run out in the system. Which I'll tell you where I'm really expecting. I'm really expecting it once we get through with Christmas and into next year. I'm expecting it to occur somewhere between January and July of 2022. I'll give you a little pre-example of what I'm expecting too. Before the end of 2022, I'm expecting the Bitcoin price to be many times what it was when it was at $64,000, much higher than that by the end of 2022. And so, how's Bitcoin going to get there when we have a collapse early in 2022? It might come in January, might come in February or March or April or May. Somewhere in that area is where I'm expecting it. And it's going to be a sudden sort of a thing where the markets turn downwards and they don't really have a bottom. It's going to be a collapse where it's fast, and if it wasn't stopped, it would go down between 40 and 60%, or maybe even a little bit more if it wasn't stopped. But I'm expecting the Fed's going to stop it right around the 25% mark. When it falls about 25%, I'm expecting it's going to take a lot. I'm going to tell you, uh, whenever you get something that's in motion in this universe, it gathers something called momentum. So when the stocks start to fall uh, precipitously like that, very quickly, what happens is something called margin calls goes out, which increases the speed or the momentum of the downward movement and the bearishness in the markets. The more momentum it has, the more it takes to turn it around and make it go back up again. And so this is going to be a crisis, a market collapse crisis, and an insolvency crisis. And it's going to be very similar to what happened in 2008. But it's going to take it's going to take an awful lot of liquidity to stop its momentum. But they're going to have to. And I figure they're going to stop it in around 25%. But what's going to happen when that happens? When the markets start to all collapse, what's going to happen to cryptocurrencies? Well, I can tell you. I'm expecting the cryptocurrencies right now, we're talking about right now, are going to start to slowly warm back up again. And I'm expecting by early into next year, we might be up around the $40,000 price for Bitcoin. And this is kind of what I'm expecting. But when this crash hits, this is the opportunity. Remember I started the show and I said there would be an opportunity? When the crash hits, that's going to be your opportunity. Because I think that Bitcoin is going to fall. And going to come down hard during the crash that's coming. Because it's a deflationary crash. And Bitcoin, as much as everybody loves Bitcoin, Bitcoin is still mostly a speculative investment. Its practical uses in the real world, other than being a speculative investment, are very limited. I mean, how many places can you go and can you spend a Bitcoin? You spend $1 anywhere, but how many places can you actually go? Practical. If you're in Great Britain, how many places can you go and actually spend a Bitcoin? I know you can spend a quid or a pound anywhere you want in Great Britain, but how many places can you spend a Bitcoin? Real world applications are limited for Bitcoin. So mostly it's a speculative investment, and it's trying to become a store of value like gold. That's what it's trying to do. But still, it's in the stage of being a speculative investment. And what do they do when margin calls go out and stuff? They sell their Bitcoins when the market crashes. So I'm expecting the Bitcoin price to be somewhere in the area of upper 30s, low 40s when the market crash comes. And I'm expecting it's going to get cut in half or more in a very short period of time. And nobody's going to want it. This is the opportunity that I'm expecting to come when the markets crash. So you might actually see sub $20,000 Bitcoin once again. But I don't believe it's going to last very long. I think that your opportunity is going to be very, very short-lived. It might be as short-lived as just a few days. That's how short-lived it might be. What's going to happen on the other side of that? They're going to open up the floodgates of money like they've never opened them before to stop the crash and to support the system, keep the system from completely going into a deflationary crash. They're going to put more money in than they've ever put before, and it's going to turn everything around. It's going to turn gold and silver around massively. So there's opportunities there. But it's also going to turn the cryptocurrency space around and like nothing you've ever seen before. And Bitcoin's going to be the center of the attention. It is the buzzword around the whole world whenever you speak about cryptocurrencies is Bitcoin. It's the safe haven of cryptocurrencies. And that's what they're all going to run for. They're all going to run for safe havens. Gold, silver, Bitcoin. This is where they're going to run. And it's the big name. Bitcoin's the big name. And they're not just going to run there. I think that's when we're going to finally see adoption by mainstream financial institutions, hedge funds, and all of these retirement allocations and everything else. It's all. I think it's all going to come pouring in after Bitcoin hits that low, probably sub $20,000 price. I think this is when we're going to see the biggest, the second half of 2022. I think we're going to see the biggest rally in Bitcoin that we've ever seen since the beginning of inception of Bitcoin until now. But I think before we get there, to that big rally, we're probably going to see Bitcoin be basically destroyed. So you've got something that nobody wants, probably sub $20,000 price. Heck, it might be down as low as $12,000 or something like that. And then come into the biggest rally we've ever seen, possibly as high as $250,000 a coin. The question is, do you want a piece of that action? You want a piece of that action? Watch carefully and see if the things that I've just said actually start to come true. First thing you'll want to watch for is the market crash I just told you about. Wait and see if that actually happens. Now, I'm not talking about what we've just been through with a couple days where the market loses 2 or 3%. I'm not talking about that. I'll be very specific that the market's going to lose about 20%. And then the Fed's going to step in. The market's probably going to be around a 25% loss before they finally are able to turn it around. When you see those things happen, you're going to see your cheap Bitcoin. And I'll even be more specific. I'll tell you when I'm expecting it. Probably somewhere between January and July of 2022. That to happen. So you got lots of advance warning. So when you see it start to happen, and you see the Bitcoin price down really low, and everybody out there saying, "Oh, Bitcoin, nobody wants that anymore. It's dead, or whatever." Might be $12,000. Heck, they might even go down below 10,000, and nobody will want it. That's your chance. That's your signal that, hey, what Glenn told me last year. I remember what Glenn said. He said, and it's happening just like he said. And then you see your golden opportunity. Because everybody who's got money out there, all these rich mucky mucks and stuff, they've always had the golden opportunity that they've taken advantage of, where they've been not with the crowd. Like the crowd always, when the crowd always buys into a market? When it's nearing its peak and ready to fall. So anyway, I figured I'd let you guys know about that today. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday. And we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.